Hey everybody, it's Jane Reaction, and it's Tuesday, which means we're gonna get so technical. See what I did there? I changed out the song. It's still horrible hearing me sing it. All right, this week, a lot of people ask me when we're getting ready to perform a certain exercise or before we get started with a whole workout, we'll say, what weights do I need today? And part of me is like, I don't know you very well. How did you get this number? This is an unlisted number. Okay. And so usually I will give sort of a general guideline of pick one dumbbell, or we're going to work with moderate weights, or we're going to work with light weights, or sometimes I'll be like, we want to lift all the things. So why am I so vague? Well, one, everybody's different and I have no idea what you're going to be doing. But how do you figure out, like, no, should I be using 12s for these or 10s? Okay, so it's a little bit of trial and error your first time through. So you just got to figure it out. And I'm going to give you some general guidelines today to help you figure it out. And then I'm going to demonstrate the other two guidelines. Okay, let's start over. There are some main guidelines that you want to think about. One is that when you are doing lower body weights, you're probably going to use heavier weights than for your upper body weights, unless you're like super jacked, like I lift all the things with my arms. Typically, I find that when I am doing squats or deadlifts or things like that, I'm going to be using heavier weights because usually your legs are doing the work and they're more powerful and your arms are just going to be holding the weight. So I might use like 30s, 40s in terms of dumbbells for that. Whereas for my upper body is not as strong as my legs. So I will probably be using lighter weights, typically in like a 20 to 30 range. That's for me personally. Okay. Also, it could depend on what muscles are stronger for you. So for example, for me, I am much stronger when it comes to pulling. I am doing pull-ups, doing aerial. I'm very good at pulling moves. So for me, I might use 40s for, like a bench over row or something like that because I can pull a lot. Pushing, doing bench press, overhead press, those kind of things, I'm not as strong at, so I'm going to end up using lighter weights, unfortunately, but I got to work on that. So some of it is just going to be learning where your body is at and where your particular muscles are at. The next phase or thing that you want to think about is how many reps are you trying to do for this particular exercise and what is your goal? So usually when you're starting out, you're going to be working on muscular endurance, okay? Cranking out a lot of reps of something. So, sometimes you'll say like 12 to 20 rep range for a set. Obviously, you're not going to be using a really heavy weight for that because you got to get through all those reps. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. If you're going heavier for, let's say you want to build muscle hypertrophy, and you are going to be using smaller sets or having smaller sets, maybe 8 to 12 reps, you're going to go with a heavier weight. And if you're going for your one rep max or something like that, like, I want to see what I can do today, then you're going to be using an even heavier weight, okay? So think about where you are. Are you just trying to get started in an exercise program and you're going to be doing a lot of reps, sort of build up that muscle and that muscular endurance? You're going to go with a lighter weight. If you're going to be doing muscle, if you want to build muscle, you got to up your weight, okay? You can't build muscle with 5-pound weights for the rest of your life. You got to increase, okay? And then, what else do I want to say? When you want to hone in on a particular weight, okay, so do I want to use the 10-pound weight for this, or do I want to use the 12-pound weights for this? This is where the trial and error comes in. And sometimes you may find that in a set, your weight is just too heavy, or you're like, oh, that was way too easy. I gotta up your weight. The two main things you want to think about within a set that, keeping track of what weight you're using are form and fatigue, okay? So what will typically happen is we're going to say, I'm going to do this many reps in this set. Let's say I'm going to do 12 reps, okay? One thing that you want to make sure of is that no matter what weight you're using, those last 2 to 3 reps are a challenge, okay? So if you can crank out 12 reps like this, 12 bicep curls, you're like, whatever, your weight's too low. You got to go up, okay? But if you can barely get like 2, oh my God, then your weight's too heavy, okay? The other thing I mentioned in terms of fatigue, and sort of goes form hand in hand with form, is you got to have good form. So you may not feel fatigued, okay, while you're finishing those last 3 reps, but maybe halfway through the set, you're not engaging your muscles properly and you're cheating and doing things that you shouldn't be doing, engaging other muscles. For example, when you're doing an isolated muscle move and your form just starts to go haywire. So that's why you want to be able to complete the set with good form, and you want the last few reps to be a challenge, but still keep good form, okay? So I'm going to try to demonstrate that really quick, and I'm going to get 20s. All right. So for me, when I do bicep curls, 20s are sort of like on the challenging range. Well, we'll see today. I haven't tried it in a while. So for good bicep form, you want to keep your elbow locked into the side, okay? And as you curl up, you're going to keep your elbow locked in. You can bring your elbow out at the end of the movement, okay? The other thing that you should note is that my upper arm, okay, is going to be relatively in place, okay? So the movement is not swinging my arm like this, and it's not moving the upper part of my arm back and forth. So when I start doing a bicep curl, that's pretty good form, okay? Now if I start swinging my elbow back or moving my upper shoulder forward, I don't feel necessarily very fatigued, but my form is not good on this, and I'm recruiting muscles that I don't want, which means that I'm probably using too heavy of a weight, and I need to slow my roll, and I need to go back down, okay? Another common thing is, you'll do an overhead press, and you're like, oh, this is going great. And then your arms, and you start sticking your back out, because you're just like, wah! Okay? Probably too heavy. Again, you should decrease the weight. But then if you're here and you're just like, oh, yeah, this is great, having a good day, how's it going? And you're like cranking out, oh, the set's over? It was 20? I could do like another 5. So if you get to the end of the set and you don't feel fatigued, 1, do a few more reps. 2, next time, up your weight, okay? The best thing that you can do when you're weightlifting is write shit down, okay? So that way you can look at it at the end and you can say, do I need to up my weight? Do I need to lower it? How did I feel this day? Did I complete the reps well, or was I sort of, I almost said shitty. Oh wait, I just did. Was I sort of iffy at the end? Okay. So these are things that you need to write down so that way next time you go and you're like, oh, I used 12s last time and they were good. I'm going to use that. Or I used 20s last time and that was a bad choice, just like milk. And I'm going to go down to like 15s or something. Okay. So the first time you do a move, you may not know where you are, and that's okay. Take your best guess. Okay. Sometimes if I'm trying a move or I'm getting ready and I don't know how I'm feeling that day, I'll just do 1 rep and I'll just think to myself, how does that feel? So on Saturday we were doing a drop set and I didn't know where to start for a particular move. And I was like, I'm going to try the 28s or something like that. And I went to do my raise and I was like, that feels pretty good. So I'm actually going to start a little higher because I know I'm only going to, depending on what the workout is. I decided I was going to start a little higher, and then, I was able to crank out a few reps. It really depends on what your goal is for your set and your reps that day. So if you know you're going to be lifting heavy, but just doing like 5 reps, you may say, oh, I can up my weight. Because I know I'm going to fatigue near those 5 reps, and it's going to be okay, because that's the point. Okay. So upper body, typically lower weights than lower body. Typically, I'm not going to say everybody. Okay. Also compound weights, we might be using a lighter weight because depending on how you're holding it and stuff. Okay. So think about upper body versus lower body movements or compound movements. Think about how many reps your goal is for that day. Are you building endurance? Are you building muscle? Are you going for your max? Okay. And then keep track of your weights so that you can refer back in case you can't remember. And then you want to make sure you can do all of the reps with good form, but the last few they're not super easy. You're feeling it, okay? You're pushing yourself through. And that's what's going to get you the best results. And it's going to help you progress safely as opposed to, I'm just going to lift things and F something up. At least I didn't use the F word today. Okay. So that's all there is today. And I will talk to you again next week. Bye.